So I wanted to take a look here at the King James translation of the New Testament, specifically the Beatitudes in the book of Matthew. So I've lined them up here. The Greek is on the left, the King James is on the right. And this is just the introductory passage. It says, "Ke anoixas to stoma avtu edidasken avtus legon." And he opened his mouth and he taught them, saying. And then we get into the verses which are actually known as the Beatitudes. So first is Makarioi hoi ptohoi to pneumati hoti avton estin I vasilia ton uranon. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. By the way, if you're curious about my pronunciation, I'm just sort of doing a improvised hybrid between modern Greek pronunciation and the classical Attic that's traditionally taught. And that's basically what Koine Greek is. I mean, any pronunciation of Koine Greek is conjectural, so I don't feel that bad about it, but just in case you're wondering, that's sort of what I'm doing. And here, the first thing I want to point out is ton uranon, of heaven. In Greek, it's plural. The singular would be tu uranu. So the King James translators make it singular. And I wonder if that's because King James translation was in the 15th century, I think. There had evolved this doctrine of heaven. Heaven as this single distinct place, where souls go when they die. Heaven where you can be with God. Heaven as opposed to hell, which was not highly developed when this was written. I wonder if that's if this change to the singular a result of that. The other thing, hoi ptohoi to pneumati, poor in spirit. There's no issue with the translation here. It's one-to-one, poor in spirit, poor in spirit. This is dative. Ptohoi is poor. To pneumati is dative with respect to the spirit. And pneuma is, obviously, this is where we get the English word. Let's see if I can do this. Get English words like pneumatic. Pneuma is the breath of life, that which blows, It's like anima in Latin. So I don't have a problem with spirit. My real thing with this is like, what does this mean? Even in English, what does it mean to be poor in spirit? It's not really clear. And with the Greek, especially since this has sort of like a physical, almost medical sense, I wonder if it could be, more relating to physical health than maybe we give it credit for. I think in the Gospel of Luke, it just ends, there's no to pneumati. It's just hoi ptohoi. Blessed are the poor. It's much more sort of a socioeconomic statement. But again, I have no problem with this as a translation because it's one-to-one, but it is interesting. Like, I still don't. If anybody's learned in Sunday school or seminary or whatever, I'm sure there's some explanation of exactly what this means. I'd be curious to know. But next is Makarioi hoi penthuntes hoti aftoi paraklethesonte. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. This is straightforward. This is mourn. Could be grieve, could be lament, but mourn is good. Paraklethesonde. This is interesting. Let me see if I can not mess this up. My Greek keyboard skills are not great, as you can see. Here we go. That's this verb. Paraklethesonde is parakalo. Parakalo in modern Greek means thank you. More literally, it means I beg, to beg, parakalo. But most literally, it means it's just a combination of para and kalo. Para is from the side, kalo is to call. This is literally where we get the English word to call. Parakalo is to call from the side. That's this verb here. Here it's translated as comforted. I think in context that's correct and good. I'm not familiar with all its use cases in the New Testament, but it seems accurate here, and I'm not familiar with any English translation of the Bible that diverges from this. But it should be noted that it has other potential translations, like to be comforted and things like that. But yeah, next. Makaroi hoi prais, hoti aftoi klironomesusen tingin. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. This one also straightforward. This is meek, gentle, mild. Inherit, there's no ambiguity there. It's exactly what it means. Tingin is the earth. That one's one-to-one again. Next. Makarioi hoi pinondes ke dipsondes tindikeiosunni hoti aftoi hortathesonde. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. This is very literal. These pinao and dipsao are the modern Greek words for to be hungry and to be thirsty. Dikeosunni is justice or righteousness. And this, still even modern Greek. If you want to say like I'm full after a meal, you say hortasa. This is it, to be filled. This, again, very good one-to-one translation. I like this use of after, by the way. It's a bit antiquated. I know some people have a problem with the antiquated style of the KJV, but I like it, to be honest. Next. Makarioi hoi elemones, hoti aftoi elethesode. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. This is straightforward because it's the same word, merciful, mercy, and you have merciful and mercy there. The one thing I would say here that's a bit of a miss, at least with modern English, is to say to obtain mercy. If someone gets shown mercy, you don't say they obtained mercy. You say they got shown mercy or something like that. So I think this is a bit strange in modern English. I don't know how common it would have been as phrasing when the KJV was produced, but that's one sort of stylistic thing which I think doesn't quite resonate today. Next, makaroi hoi katharoi tikardia hoti aftoi ton theon opsonde. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Very accurate. One thing here, katharos is clean. More accurately, it's clean rather than pure. But again, this in modern English, you don't say clean in heart, you say pure of heart. Although I wonder how much the fact that we would say pure of heart is actually a result of maybe translations like this, sort of dictating how it's stated colloquially. But that's the only sort of discrepancy you could point out here. Next, makaroi hoi iranopioioi hoti aftoi yoi theu klethesonde. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Peacemakers, it's one-to-one. It's a great word in English and in Greek. One thing, this is a callback, no pun intended, from this word call, kalo. Klethesonde, it's the same, to be called the children of God. You can see the root there. Another thing, uyos is sons, more accurately sons. Maybe it's, I'm guessing this is a common translation of sons, especially in the New Testament. I wonder how much of an agenda they had to make it unisex for the church. But yeah, this is sons. Obviously, mixed groups in Greek are masculine, etc., but this is definitely sons. Anyway, next one. Makarioi hoi dediogmenoi heneken dikeosunnes hoti afton estin I vasilia ton uranon. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This one, it's a longer one, but surprisingly, they were able to do it very literally. Hunted, persecuted here, righteousness again, plural, heavens, singular, heaven. Interesting choice that maybe we take a bit for granted as pointing to a specific doctrine of heaven in a way that maybe the Greek wasn't. Next, makarioi este. Oh, interesting. The little thing with the ancient Greek accents there. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that right. Makarioi este otan onidisosin humas ke dioxosin ke iposin pan poniron kathehumon psevdomeni henekenemu. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. This one has really good, if you really know the Greek, it's really aesthetic. The pacing and the grammar, it's really nice. Yeah, the aesthetic in the English is really nice, and I think it's retained so well in the King James Version. They're not trying to do too much. Maybe we can look at a different English translation, because sometimes when you're reading the King James Bible, you really take for granted how good the translation is. But one thing I would point out, onidizo is revile. I know not all English translations translate it as revile. For me, that is the best translation of this verb here. Other thing, poniros, to translate it as evil is a bit rough. Poniros can also be, more just like cunning. It's not necessarily wrong. I like it in context here, but I think it can be misleading if you don't know the original. You know what I'm saying? It can definitely be misleading. And here, pseudomenoi, is obviously, this is the word where we get English, the sort of English prefix pseudo. But in English, we don't really use it to mean false. We use it to mean kind of, like if you say pseudoscience, it's like wannabe science, science adjacent, illegitimate science. In Greek, it definitely means falsely. It comes from the word which means lie, right? So that's good. Next is χαίρετε και αγαλιάστε, ότι ο μισθός χρουμών πολλούς εν τοις ουρανόis χούτος γαρ εδίωξαν τους προφέτας τους προχημών. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad. Oh, I said exceedingly. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Obviously exceeding, modern English, not great. But this phrasing here, so good. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. That's tremendous phrasing from the translators. But I really want to focus on this word here, agaliaste. They translate it as to be exceeding glad. I don't have a problem with this. The word comes, so in modern Greek we have, let's see if I can do some more Greek typing. This word agalma. Agalma literally means statue. It's like the ancient Greek statue is called agalma, because it comes from the verb agalome, which means to be proud or to exult in something. So they definitely could have done a lot more than be exceeding glad, but because it's it is a bit of a difficult word to translate and to understand exactly how it's meant to be in the context, I don't have a problem with be exceeding glad. Other thing, again, plural heavens, singular heaven. Everything else is very straightforward. Now I want to look at, I've pasted here, this now on the left here is the New English Version. I think it's a very common English translation of the Bible used in the USA today. And I just want to compare it a bit to the KJV. So right away you can see just this substitution of shall for will in several places. Blessed are the meek, they will inherit the earth, for shall inherit the earth. And then you have, here, this is what I wanted to look at. They will be shown mercy. I just think this is much better phrasing than obtain mercy. Although, again, I'm not sure how common it would have been to say obtain mercy when this was translated. I just like this way better for modern English. Maybe it's a small thing. I don't want to make too big a deal out of it. Everything else, pretty standard until we get to the bottom. Here. Again, this is insult is translation of onidizo. And we said that the King James Version does revile, which I greatly prefer. I would even go so far as to say insult is wrong in context. I don't know exactly what the logic here is. I'm sure there were a lot of conversations about it. But maybe they just use it because it's a common English word that people can relate to. But I truly think this is wrong. I'll post the etymology of onidizo so you can see for yourself. But I really have a problem with this here. Like this is an issue. So the final one we have is rejoice and be glad. Again, I have a problem with this. Like exceeding glad. Obviously, they're trying to translate agaliaste as we saw correctly, but just to be glad is I have a problem with that. It's not. It seems like they're trying to escape from a real translation. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who are before you, versus for so persecuted they the prophets were before you. You could tell the style is so much better in the King James Version. Sorry, my clicking is all over the place now because I confused myself by pasting this over the original. I got to find a better way to do this. But really, I have a problem here with be glad and insult. And the phrasing here is just so inferior to the phrasing in the King James Version. The only thing I would prefer from this is to be shown mercy. But again, that's a small thing. I'm really nitpicking over the King James Version. I mean, I give this, we're talking like 9.7 out of 10.